Yes, you're watching, of course, our special coverage here at the World Cup, the quest for queendom. And India's quest for queendom at the Women's World Cup here seems to be in a bit of trouble, despite beating Pakistan last evening. It's been a tough start for the Indian women at UAE at the World Cup. First came the loss to New Zealand late Friday night, pushing them into a must-win scenario for all of the remainder matches. I'll tell you why this is critical. The format has a lot to do with it. The teams are all divided into just two groups here, which makes the contest that much more difficult because you have to be two of the best in a group of 5 to go through to the semi-finals. It's not easy. It demands far more consistency than you could afford in other scenarios. So let's look at the group that India is slotted in. Now, it's with quite a few difficult teams here, and if I could just bring that up for you, that's New Zealand there for you, that's topping the group currently. You have Australia, followed by Sri Lanka and Pakistan. It's not an easy group to be a part of, and if you just look at the points that they've gathered here, it's deceptively difficult and more so. India has climbed up to the 4th spot, yes, after that win over Pakistan, but is that enough? Because the net run rate is still in the negatives. What more do they need to do to get across that line and get to that top 2? India not only need to win the remaining matches, but they need to win big. Let's look at what's happened in the tournament so far then, shall we, to set this up for you. India started off with a crushing loss at the hands of New Zealand, a team that was coming into this tournament on a 10-match losing streak. Got that momentum going thanks to that win over India. What stayed for me from that match, though, was a moment where Harmanpreet Kaur, the Indian skipper, lost her cool over a run-out of Kaur, who was short of her crease, yes, but was called right back by the umpire because it was off a dead ball. And so the run-out did not count, and neither did that run. The Indian skipper, of course, was furious, and she kept talking to the umpires. She even went outside the ground, across the ropes, to engage in further debate. The Indian team coach was also there, Amol Majumdar, even as Smriti Mandana tried to calm her down. Now that, of course, rattled the captain, but irrespective of that moment, India were outplayed in every department. Jemima Rodriguez, who usually puts up quite the smiling face, she is pretty much the live wire in that squad, reflected what the whole Indian dressing room was probably already feeling.
This would be the game we would like to forget, because this is a World Cup. We need to keep moving on and keep picking ourselves up. We can't stay stuck at this game. I think that will show the character of this team.
From where we sit here, you can sense something a bit amiss in that campaign so far, but that's not the worst part. Fans went on to troll that Indian team after the horrendous defeat to New Zealand, and it turned pretty nasty. Yes, that last tweet there really summing up a lot of the hate that came after that loss, and it pushed India to a must-win scenario against Pakistan. They won, yes, but with just about 1 over to spare while chasing, let's admit it, a very modest target that they had restricted Pakistan to in the first place. Not the kind of win that anyone would be happy about. Their net run rate is still in the negative. There have been 1 or 2 standout performers, some youngsters coming forward like Arundhati Reddy in that last game against Pakistan with those crucial 3 wickets. But that synergy is not there. The urgency to up that net run rate was missing. That sense of collective aggression absent. So what lies ahead then for India if they need to make the most of this and turn things around from this point? 2 feisty opponents. One in Sri Lanka, the very same Sri Lanka under Chamari Atapattu that India lost their Asia Cup final to recently. There's revenge on the cards here. And then, of course, there's Australia, the most dominant women's team in this entire tournament. They have to win these 2 matches. India has to win these 2 games, and not just barely. They'll have to do these clinically and with a big enough margin to ensure that their net run rate improves from where it's at the point. A loss in any of these two means they're just relying on many other results as well. But 6 points, that's what India will, that's the number that will be singed in their brains for sure. The good news for Indian fans there is that India have beaten Australia in group stages of the last two T20 World Cup editions. The bad news, that 58-run loss to New Zealand and the laboured win over Pakistan may still haunt them despite what happens from this point on.
Firstpost decodes the U.S. election. Explains how America chooses its president. Your primer on the race to the White House. Everything you need to know about how America votes and its global implications. U.S. Election Explained. Every Monday and Thursday only on Firstpost.